Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our show, the Al-Islam Center and Community Issues Group. I'll be your host today, Brother Benjamin Shabazz, and we have two very unique brothers here that are going to share some space with us and enlighten us a little bit about Muslims in the military. To my near right here is Brother Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
And to my far right is Brother Martin. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
All right. Before we get started, we want to open up with a short dua. If you join me. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We ask that Allah bless us, that this show provides some benefit for all listening. Ameen.
Amen.
All right, my brothers. Glad to have you here. It's really a pleasure and an honor, really. So let's start with you, Brother Muhammad. Maybe you could give us your name and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'll pass it off to my elder, but all right. So yeah, my name's Muhammad Yassine Levette. I am 31 years of age. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. Born and raised there. My mother was Muslim and my father is Muslim, and my sister. Yeah. So I joined the military when I was about 19, and so far, come June 22nd, I'll be in for about 12 years.
All right. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Brother Martin, same question to you.
Okay, yeah, I'm Staff Sergeant Martin Johnson. Been in the military for 11 and a half years. During my military career, I've been overseas 5 times, been to Iraq 3 times, been to Kuwait once, and Afghanistan once. And I wasn't born Muslim. I recently converted to Islam this year. And a beautiful religion. I'm learning a lot. But one thing I can say is that Islam has been a part of my life. As I look back and becoming a Muslim, it's been there since day one. My father named me Jabbar as a middle name. That's been there. And then he named my older brother, who's a year, 2 years ahead of me, his name is Malcolm. So my father kind of set us on a tone to where Islam has been there. And then one of my role models is Malcolm X. So I've been heavily interested in Islam for a really long time. And when I converted, it was a personal decision. And it was one I wanted to take my time with and be patient about and make sure I made the right decision. And I made the right decision. My wife and my son supports me 100%. And being here at JBLM in the Seattle area, the Al-Islam Center of Seattle has been a great part, you know, in my growth and my development as becoming a Muslim.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. So you just mentioned that we are in the, what you call the GBLM?
JBLM, so the Joint Base Lewis McChord.
Okay. So let's talk briefly about this brother on here.
Yes.
This is Dr. Shabazz.
Yeah.
And you want to speak briefly about the good brother chaplain?
Okay. Yeah, I originally came in contact with Chaplain Shabazz back at Fort Hood, Texas. You know, I was coming from Fort Campbell. You know, we just deployed to Afghanistan in 2008, came back 2009, then I PCS in 2010. And from Campbell to Fort Hood, Texas. And being at Fort Hood, Texas, it was like, it was a weird place for me, you know. New faces, nervousness of the unknown, people that don't know me, I didn't feel comfortable being like, you know, openly Muslim or stating that, hey, I am a Muslim, you know. But it was around about prior to the Ramadan, month of Ramadan coming in. That's when I was informed that, hey, there's a chaplain on the base, you know. And at that time, he was a captain. That's around about 2012, maybe 2013, you know. And, you know, he really helped me out a lot, you know, in that aspect, you know. And I was able to also express some and clarify some ignorances that my leadership at the time had about, you know, my faith and everything, and what I had to do and how I had to adjust and conduct myself during the month of Ramadan. You know, especially like, because I'm not eating, I'm not drinking during the day, and they still want me to do like strenuous PT. And I'm like, nah, it ain't happening. But I mean, I push myself either way, you know. So he really did helped out a lot in that aspect.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Brother Martin.
What can I say about Brother Colonel Shabazz? Interesting enough is that I found out about him through watching this channel. He had an interview on it, and the thing that the history about it is that last year I wanted to become Muslim, and I was overseas in Iraq, and my wife and I had a conversation. It was like when I got back, we would take our time with it. And as I was doing my research and just watching YouTube videos and reading books, I came across Colonel Shabazz by watching a YouTube video for here. And when I found out he was at JBLM, in the military, you have emails. So I searched for him in the global part. I searched his name. I found him. And I shot him an email on a Monday afternoon, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. By 2:05, I had a response from him. He was that prompt. And he invited me for lunch that Wednesday. And when I went and met with him that Wednesday, it was a aura about him that I just knew right off the bat that he was genuine, he was authentic, and he was real. And he wasn't afraid of his Islam. So he works in the division building. So he's a division chaplain of the whole entire post of JBLM. So every chaplain, no matter what religious or denomination you have, you report to him. So when I went to his office, he works in division in his main building. It's different religions people in there, and we go to meet. His door's wide open. We're discussing Islam. First time meeting him, gave me a great hug, a lot of information that I didn't know about, and you know, with him being there, he made me not have a shadow of a doubt or a fear of saying I'm a Muslim, no matter who I'm around. You know, and being in the military, that's kind of a cliche to where, you know, we're overseas a lot, and they have this mentality that, you know, you talk about Islam or being Muslim, they relate that to being a terrorist. Yeah. You know, so to emulate what he has done for, you know, the Muslim narrative and how it can be subjective, he's kind of changing that narrative by showing and proving that you can be a Muslim, not hide it, you know, and you're not labeled as a terrorist. So he's been a great pivotal moment in my life in this short period of time. So,
alhamdulillah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think everybody who meets that brother
Yes.
is highly impressed by him. Now they have an article in here about where Muslims observe 20 years of iftars at the Pentagon. This in the Muslim Journal. I don't know if you can get a close-up of that. I'm just going to hold it up to see if we can get a close-up of that. But the point about the article is that Muslims have been around a long time in the military, and long enough to where they have an effect, where they have an iftar at the Pentagon.
Right.
You know, it seems like that would be a personal thing you do off the base.
True.
Yeah, but they're doing it right in the military. Not only do they have the iftars there, they have Juma prayer there. You know, so somebody know what's really going on.
Exactly.
Other than all this propaganda that they're putting out here to the general masses. All right, so I'm gonna put this paper down, but this is a Muslim Journal article, June the 8th, 2018. Muslims observe 20 years of iftars at the Pentagon, and they have the good brother that we're talking about and 4 other brothers. And you know what's also amazing? They're all African American.
Yeah.
All African American.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So let's talk about whoever wants to field this question first can field it. Okay. But let's talk about within yourself, within your mind, how you see being a part of the American military as a Muslim.
Want to go first? So I can go first. I can take that question. I'm a fairly new Muslim, and what I can say is that before becoming Muslim, I've been around different people within the military. I've been to 3 different locations, and there's definitely a narrative and a propaganda that's out there based off what the news and the media portrays about Muslims, that a lot of people in the military, you know, it's not that they don't know, they're just ignorant to it. They don't understand the religion as a whole. They take what the military teaches them as far as being overseas, going and invading these countries in the Middle East, and they paint that picture as if all Muslims are terrorists, or they can't be trusted, or they will turn on you, and they have no loyalty. But in all actuality, it's the exact opposite. When you study Prophet Muhammad, he was the most humble person. You know, he had companions. So these companions were his friends. So you look at that as being to show that Islam is not about terrorists. It's about love and charity. It's about giving back if you study the 5 tenets of Islam. So I think that in the military, prior to becoming a Muslim, there was that narrative. And I kind of fell victim to it too by not knowing at all. And becoming Muslim now, I'm starting to see, and I get a chance to paint that picture, as if we had a situation last week with Brother Muhammad. As you guys don't know, I'm an instructor at one of the academies on post where I teach and teach leadership. And it's a 21-day course, and Brother Muhammad is a student there right now. And with it being the month of Ramadan coming to an end, going to Jummah prayer on Fridays is very important, for us being resilient after not drinking any food or water throughout the day and being there for long days. Jummah prayer is one of those things that keeps us resilient. And they didn't want to let them go, so I had a chance to go talk to the senior leadership and speak on behalf of all the Muslims in the academy. It's actually 4 or 5 of them in the academy right now. And after conveying that it's the month of Ramadan and that this is a holy month for us, they were able to understand and say, hey, well, now we get a small view of why it's important. We're going to let these guys go to prayer on Friday and then come back to class afterwards. So that's just one way that we can start to, find a way to change that narrative and that storyline about Islam and the military and Muslims as a whole.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, brother.
Yes.
Give us a little bit of your take on it, brother.
Okay. Let's see. Prior to me joining the military, when 9/11 took place, it really changed the dynamic and the vibe in the community, between up there, the Muslims that have been there and lived there, years prior to that incident taking place. And I got a lot of different questions and, from friends and everything and so-called friends and frenemies about, what is Islam? What is Muslims about? Is that what y'all do? Y'all just bomb people and kill people and stuff like that? And I said, no, that's not the case. In no way, shape, or form. I wasn't raised on that. I wasn't taught that in no way, shape, or form. We'd be having a different conversation right now if I was like that. And one of the points of me up there joining the military was to, just use that as a stepping stone to kind of like push that narrative that Muslims are not terrorists. Muslims are not, what you see on the news and on TV and what media and all tries to dictate in society, And in the beginning, there was a little nervousness, it was a little shaky, trying to understand that these people that I work with have this preconceived notion embedded in their mind already, about what Islam is and what Muslim is. Because at the time, during the years of the 2006, and I want to say, give or take, maybe about a day, all the way up to about 2010, the major enemy, that was pretty much being pushed out there was that it was Middle Easterns, or Muslims or Islam, and Islamophobia was real big, and now it's starting to slow down. But, being in the military and everything, it's been an opportunity for me to like shine a different light on it. People that interact with me and speak with me and stuff like that, they realize that, I have a different type of mind frame, a different type of mindset, and I carry myself differently as well, compared to what they may think or what they think they know, So, and it creates like a dialogue, not so much as a religious debate, but a discussion, to differentiate and also to compare and contrast, and it's pretty much very much enlightening,
Yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, it's a great thing to people see Muslims as human beings.
Exactly.
And not these one-minded,
Yes.
blinded, just, Allahu Akbar, slashing people's throats. Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's kind of get into what are some of the benefits that you have been able to obtain by being in the military?
Oh man, I can go on for a lot. a lot of days, just discussing the benefits. So for one, I think within my family, I have a wife and a son, so they get free medical. They get medical benefits as far as like just by me being a military soldier, and they get the benefits of that. Not only that, it's a steady paycheck. We don't get paid the most money, but we get a steady paycheck to get you by from day 1 to the 15th and the 30th. But I think the pay is there. We already know that. I think one of the things that's missing out is the education they give you. So they give us every year $4,500 to go to school, and a lot of our military training, it converts into college credits. So to me, I think knowledge is power. I think knowledge is infinite. We can never get enough education. As we can see, brother Khalid Shabazz has, I think, 3 master's degrees.
Yeah.
And a PhD.
2 PhDs.
And it was all free through the military. So I think one of the great benefits that's not shown a light on is that the education part of it. Because everyone doesn't want to do 20 years in the military. Some guys want to get out. So while they're in, they can capitalize on that school option and create some kind of transition to where they can get out and get a good job. So I think, for me, I think that's one of the greatest assets that you can get from joining the military outside of the pay and the benefits.
Okay. Brother Muhammad, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, pretty much the same, to try to caveat. That's pretty much everything you stated. A recruiter would tell somebody that's interested in joining the military the exact same. And also the opportunity to travel, that's another big part. You may not be traveling like all over the world, but you at least get out of that box of where you've been at for the majority of your life. There's more to it than your neighborhood. There's more to it than your city. You get to experience of the different people, different cultures, different backgrounds, different characteristics and personalities. You learn to work around and work with and work alongside. And then just learn a lot more, And if you do go overseas, it's going to be a culture shock unless you've been exposed to it prior, from interacting with probably a Muslim friend in school or at work or something of that sort, So, yeah, it's been good to me. I mean, you're going to go through, just like any other professional job or career, you're going to go through ups and downs, but you make the best. You take the best out of it and make it work for you. And I've been to, after basic and AIT at Fort Leonard Wood, I've been, like I said, at Fort Campbell. At the Fort Campbell, Kentucky, I went to Fort Hood, Texas. At the Fort Hood, Texas, and I deployed to Afghanistan. And after Fort Hood, Texas, I went to South Korea. And after South Korea, I was supposed to have gone down to Fort Stewart, but I had a family issue, so I ended up remaining in Georgia. And after 2 years there, I ended up coming here to JBLM. So I've been to a couple places other than Baltimore.
Right, yeah. I hear you loud and clear, brother. It's almost, when I look back on my life, because I was in the Vietnam era, and there are people in my neighborhood today that have never left the neighborhood.
I can believe that.
They lived there their whole life.
Yeah.
And so their worldview is there is no worldview.
Right.
The worldview is their neighborhood. And, I didn't realize how serious that was, man. Yeah. But being in the military, you get to, your horizon expands.
True.
Just the fact that you've been around different people from different parts of the country, and you have to work together and everything, you get to learn about them, they get to learn about you, your horizon expands. So the experience just with that part is invaluable. You can't pay no money to get that kind of experience. Then you get all the other opportunities in terms of leadership abilities, and you can move up, you can stay where you're at, but you have access to different things. And what you was talking about with money to get education, man. And plus, if you don't decide to make a career out of it, but you come out into civilian life, people look on your resume.
Yeah.
Military man, You know what I'm saying? 10 years in the military, you know, with this experience, that experience, this experience. That's an automatic plus right there.
It is.
Yeah.
That's an
it's a
automatic
leg up.
plus right there. Now, let's talk about it in terms of being African American, being in the military. Now, I'm talking about it from the point of why would a black man want to be a part of the white man's military? You know, I'm using that narrative.
Yes.
It's because you want people to see it past the point of, oh, that's the white man's army. I ain't never going to the military. You know, that ain't for me. You know, type of thing. So go ahead.
I think one of the big ones is this. In the military, a lot of African Americans have support jobs. Either you're a supply specialist, which you're either, you know, issuing out supplies for the guys who are going out and doing something, or you have some kind of job to where you're doing the grunt work, and you don't really have a job to where you're a prominent position is doing something that takes a higher intelligence to do. So there's different skill sets in the military. And then what you do find is that a lot of different job descriptions, such as those support jobs, have a lot of minorities in them, right? And then when you get to MOSs such as like dealing with intel, dealing with nurses or in the hospital, you know, you rarely see an African American in those MOS or skill sets. You know, so you say, well, why is that? Why is that so? Well, what happened is I think the military has it to where these occupations are heavily supportive, because when you come into the military, you take a test. So depending on how high or how low you score on that test depends on what jobs you have an opportunity to have in the military when you join. Now, we know a lot of African Americans who live in poverty-stricken areas. The education is low. The teachers don't come there to teach, really. They come there for a year. They say, hey, I taught in the school in Baltimore. Now I'm going to transfer out to the suburbs and teach some students that look like me. So a lot of times these teachers in these poverty-stricken communities where African Americans dwell and live, we don't get the best education. And what that translates into is our test-taking ability. And we end up scoring lower on those tests, so we end up only getting opportunities to do jobs such as support that doesn't take a lot of intelligence to do. You know, but what the military does have is to where you can go in and retake that test and try to get out of that occupation and do something different. But it's a narrative, what you see a lot, and I've been in 12 years, and a lot of support jobs, you see a lot of African Americans in them. You know, and they think it's no way I can change and become a nurse. There's no way I can change and become intel, you know. And a lot of Europeans, they have jobs such as, you know, the combat arm guys, the infantry guys, you know, the ones that want to be bullet shooters. And a lot of those MOSs, you don't see a lot of African Americans in those as well. So, you know, you start to see a lot of division once you start learning the occupation in the organization. You start to see the division within them. And that's what I've encountered and I've seen from historical data in the past 12 years, 11 and a half years.
Mm-hmm. So before we go to you, Brother Muhammad, let me ask you a question now about African-American youngster coming out of high school, or maybe was kicked out of high school, maybe in the 10th or 11th grade, walking the streets. How do we make the military a convincing option for him?
So I can relate. I was that one who was 18, 19 years old. I was in St. Louis in the late 2000s. The youngest out of 5, and I seen my brother get killed. I seen my friends go to jail. You know, I seen my father struggle with getting the bills paid. So when I joined the military, I didn't even know what I was joining. I just knew I can get a steady paycheck, I can leave St. Louis, and I can get medical benefits. And so I seen those small things that everyone else sees. But when I joined, what I did learn is that for that young guy who's coming in who doesn't know, he's going to learn discipline. He's going to learn how to be honorable. He's going to learn how to have integrity for himself, you know, and that self-discipline. And those 4 attributes right there within itself is going to teach you how to become a man. You know, it's going to take you off from being, you know, having that narrow tunnel vision about I only know my neighborhood to understand there's a bigger world out there. And I became a man in the military. I became a man here.
Okay, beautiful. Brother Muhammad.
Yeah, like, and to caveat off of the one thing he stated about the combat arms, I noticed majority of the, you know, Caucasian people were there. And when I do see somebody that's African American, I'm like, yo, you okay?
Yeah.
How they treating you, man?
Yeah.
But to try to make the military seem like a good avenue of approach or a course of action for a young person like from where I'm from to take. And by the way, I thought that I was the only person from Baltimore in the Army. I was like, man, people don't join the Army from Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, when I come run into people that's from Baltimore as well, I'm like, oh, I'm not alone, you know. But, you know, just try to let them know that there's more to the world than what you see on Park Heights. There's more to the world than what you see on Penn North or North Avenue, you know, over there on Cherry Hill, you know, West Side or South Side or Evanston Village and everywhere, you know, to come and experience more than just that, you know. And then on top of that, they can have some stability under their life. If you've been back and forth, you know, in and out of trouble and stuff like that, or you've seen family members and friends of theirs come and go in and out of jail, or just getting killed and being buried in the ground, or put in the hospital back, you know, back to back. If you don't want to fall into those type of same statistics, you know, or follow that path, then
go ahead, keep going.
Then, you know, make a better choice for yourself. You know, don't worry about all those stereotypical or those minuscule, like, you know, statements that people like to make. Oh, that's the white man's army. You don't want to join. You sure you want to do that at this time in the game? You're like, look, you got to do what's best for you. You know, and whether what's best for you takes you all the way up to 20 years, or you only do it there 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, still get the best out of it and make it work for you. So that when you come out, you're not out there sleeping on the streets or nothing like that, like a lot of these veterans that are homeless, you know, or prior military, or not able to get their help for what they need because their PTSD is they're overwhelming, and it just,
Yeah, I feel you. Well, that's the music telling us that we got to wrap this up. So I want to thank you, Brother Muhammad, for coming on out. Brother Martin, I want to thank you for coming out.
Definitely.
And I want you to promise me something, that in sometime in the future we'll do a part 2 of this show.
Indeed, inshallah.
All right.
We'll do.
So Eid Mubarak.
Eid Kareem.
We want to thank our viewing audience, and we want to say thank you for watching. Excellent show.
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh man, wouldn't have it no other way, man. Excellent show.
Hopefully,
Excellent show.
I get a call from Hollywood or something, man. Hey, let's get your best side. One time.
Looking forward to